Right, all right. We in the studio now, man. It's live. We live right now. The countdown is going there. So we live on a social experiment. I got Mr. Brandon Wiley in here. I reached out to him and asked him if he'd be interested in coming to interview me. Usually when we run this show, I do the interviewing. I'm interviewing different guests, asking some of their opinions, some of the things they have going on, some of their community involvement, some of their interests and things like that. And I figured it'd be a great opportunity since I decided to run for city council to, get a couple of different people on here to get some of their perspectives and, some of their questions about interesting questions. Hopefully, what I mean? I can gain some votes by answering questions or gain to share some of the things that I'm running for. So, Brandon, I appreciate you being come on the show. I'd like to introduce yourself so you can all of your things that you have.
No doubt, no doubt. Brother. It's so good to be here. I'm Brandon Wiley. I am a licensed mental health therapist. I work with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. I run my own organization called Open Eyes, which is a consultant-based organization that focuses on consulting, training, workshop development, mental health and wellness development, resiliency-based training. We work with the youth, you know what I mean? We're hitting all the spaces, corporate level trainings, So Open Eyes is really that's my baby. That's been my prize for the past 10 years. So just thankful to be in the space, man. I've been in Erie for about 19 years now and went to Gannon University. Shout out to GU.
Okay.
And yeah, man, just excited to be here.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you put the credentials out there and talked about some of the things that really to get some questions from you.
Yeah.
I feel like some of the questions that you'll be asking will be speaking to maybe some of the population of people that you work with or that you do work with. And I'm just curious to know like some of the questions, be able to answer the questions, and then interested to see if anybody has any comments. So I'm trying to continue to grow this thing forward. So
absolutely, man. Hey, appreciate you, man. First of all, I want to say I'm proud of you and all the stuff you got going on, man. Love your involvement with the community, and I think this is a great next chapter for you. This whole thing. So it's been great to see this kind of all come to fruition. So thank you for having me a part of it. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I'm a very foundational type of person. I like to and I like to just kind of get to let's start with the roots of things and then we'll build from there. What is city council? Like why is it a thing? Why is it important? Why do people join it? What's the function of a city council?
Okay. So as far as city council, it represents the departments of the city. It's like the mayor's. You know what I mean? So decisions are made from city council. City council members, they sit on boards. When it comes to housing, talking about public safety, trash, water, sewer, events, area events, recreation, things like that. So there are 7 seats on city council, and of those 7 members of the city council, they sit on different boards and they appoint people to different boards, pretty much to oversee policies of the city, zoning, making sure things are running smoothly, being advisors to the mayor, and being, I guess, the sounding board for the community. People in different districts have concerns. There's somebody that you can go to to speak about concerns to address them, relay messages and information to the mayor. So, when it comes to being a city council, I look at it like local politics are important.
Sure.
Because a lot of things that happen in your everyday life, but more on the local level than the federal level. Some of your city council are the people speak.
So I think a lot of people don't recognize how important the locals can be. This is obviously very important.
Absolutely. Because again, since a lot of backyard, a lot of us have opinions about what's going on at the federal level, as far as decisions being made, policies being changed, funding being cut, but also have issues within the city of Erie that we don't know how to address or how to go about addressing, or we don't even speak to our concerns. So, like, I'm being very vocal about the importance of local government because I feel like if a lot of people know the power that they have as people, individuals, and the people, then hopefully they would be more involved with some of the day-to-day decisions and operations because a lot of people talk about federal level government and they're very opinionated. ready for action. But like most action that happens on your day-to-day life is more in the local government.
I think that's very interesting. Thank you for breaking that down. I think a lot of people, you hear that stigma of like, why do I vote anyways? Like, what does it matter? Like, what would you tell somebody that? Like, why do people vote matter in these elections?
Honestly, that's good because I used to be one of those people, but I did always vote.
Uh-huh.
Just because I voted for, I'm a part of a community, so you know what I mean. I'm pretty much going with the popular vote of what people were swaying me to do. So it's just kind of like I'm going to vote because I know that this benefits other people, and there are people who fought for this right,
Yeah.
people who fought for this opportunity. But then when you think about voting, I think again when you think about federal level versus local levels, a lot of people don't understand that when you go in on a large ticket, there are also local officials that are on there. And when you're putting these people in office, these people are making this everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
People, I think they say that my vote doesn't matter because they think presidential. There are so many votes that get accounted for that people I won. This president got 300,000 votes and heard by 100,000 votes or whatever the case may be. One really didn't make a difference.
Right.
But sometimes that one vote is more beneficial for the local who have more of a say in your day-to-day life. So vote does matter. It matters especially when you have issues going on in your community like to address, but you don't know who to call or who to call for. You need to figure out who your elected officials are, understanding what they're running for, and if the things that they're running for kind of like speaks to what you have in mind or what you will vote for. Also, get some of people choose the people that you speak for to actually vote for those people. So again, I think because you hear vote, think immediately president.
Yep.
You think governor. You know what I mean? Senators and stuff like that. And sometimes we feel like vote is our reach. So a lot of people won't vote like my one vote won't put office. But from some of the things that I've learned throughout my time, and then especially this campaign, that one vote could make a difference by getting a seat in a city or a local level that has more of a interest in your concerns as opposed to somebody else, other people's concerns that doesn't have an effect.
Absolutely. I appreciate that reflection and that response. So let me ask you kind of to go off that. What motivated you to get into this space? Like I, me personally, I'm like politics can be tough, right? Like politics is a rough sport. And a lot of people say, oh, don't get into politics, you'll be compromised. You'll be, you're gonna turn, you're gonna change. What makes you motivated to get into it? And how do you feel like you're going to what are things you're gonna put in place for yourself to maintain your level of balance? Yeah.
Last couple of days. But like so I'm very in the Erie community on multiple levels, like through jobs and through my own personal, I guess, interests. So I was a drug and alcohol counselor for 12 and a half years. Higher education. I've worked in after school programs or volunteered in after school programs, volunteered at soup kitchens, worked with homeless populations. So, like when you become so involved with things that are going on within your city and you're understanding some of the needs of the people, some of the concerns of people, as well as some of the ways to help them, offer yourself. So I'm always in a bunch of different places at a lot of different times. And understanding that there were some times where I had some thoughts about things that could happen, or even from the groups of people that I were working with, they had some thoughts or they had some opinions about how things could change. And what I've learned throughout my time is we don't have a seat at the table or a place at the table to actually speak for our concerns.
Sure.
Now, that's not to discredit anybody else at the table who is advocating for other people because it's 7 people. It's not even enough. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But I just felt like from some of the things that I've learned and from some of the work that I've done and have been doing, it would be important for me to take it where I'm at the table to advocate for working for people that I represent. I don't think that anybody can speak for my people or nobody can speak for me like I'm going to speak for myself.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there are a lot of people who are like me and a lot of people who feel the same thing. I feel like it's very important put my hat in your ring and take this opportunity as well as there if you look at the people who are running for positions, there's a demographic that's missing. If you're talking age, I'm talking race, ethnicity and things like that. And being involved, being a leader in the role of other people that'll come after me. and I feel like I still have a level of attraction. People will listen to me and relate. And no years old. I'm turning 39.
Mhm.
There are not a lot of people who are my age who are actually saying, "Hey, I feel like there are some issues.
Yep.
I feel like I have some things. I feel like some people support me. If I put my head in a position, I'll be able to help some people because some of us, not all of us, feel like we're not receiving help, and a lot of people don't know how to go get the help. And I definitely understand that when it comes to local politics, there's resources that are available, opportunities are available. Getting your information right,
Mhm.
and the right person for you to advocate for, not doing this closed, and you have the people who are making the decisions, discussing issues, solutions.
Absolutely. And I think we're, I'm 36, I'm about to be 37. So I feel like we're like the middle children of this game. You know what I mean? We're the middle child. And so how I feel like that's a big, I don't know, maybe you can speak on it. That's a big undertaking, right? Because we can still have the pulse of the younger people, and we're still can relate to a little bit to the older demographic. We can learn from them, but we can offer them something that they don't necessarily have. Can you speak to that a little bit about our position and our age demographic, and then of course you being 38 and how that's going to play a part into your position?
Yeah, so like going back to like the older generation, like I feel like a lot of us in this generation we were raised pretty much
Mm,
to where like some of the boomers, they had our respect. So we
sure.
listened to them. We were able to take away some of the principles that they were offering us, some of the morals that they were instilling in us, and some of the values. But then I also, as we grew older, we kind of found our own ways to where we knew what to take from those conversations, and we knew what not to take.
Mm,
Because again, we're talking era of a lot of as people older than us were fighting for us to be fighting for. When they were having this fight for us, we were privy to more opportunities than they were. Gain knowledge, gain insight, and what I've learned was some of the principles that I was raised upon wasn't always right.
mm,
You know what I mean? Not speaking up, not going to get therapy, talking about issues. It's
mm.
not okay for you to, as a man, to cry. So it's like run with these things. And as we get older and we're struggling with them, we feel like, yo, some of those things I was raised upon, right? Not everything, but some.
Mhm.
And also when you look at the younger generation, we have a life, you know what I mean? We got some youthfulness to us. We feel kind of a little quote unquote hip.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to some music. So we're relatable, so we still dress like we're younger. A lot of guys my age, we still dress like we 2021. So some
Yeah.
young people at us, and they're attracted to the way once we gain their attraction of things that we do, the content of our conversation, actions, and our movements. I pride myself in doing the right things. What I've been able to do, my grandfather pretty much raised me to be a man.
Mhm.
Like he was my best friend growing up. So what I've been able to do is take a lot of the different principles that he instilled in me that are still relevant to today's life, as well as the things that in my time or in my journey growing up as a young man, to be able to add that to it, and then to be able to take some things that I've learned from some young people from involved in being active, kind of like mashing it all up to put it all together to be something that potentially benefit us all because so our voice is going up. Will potentially benefit us all because we have a say so in the matter, and we all should be able to be part of those conversations. Is it sound better? But yeah, I feel like we all should be able to be part of those conversations. And younger people, for some reason, don't listen to older generation people because I don't know, maybe they feel like they're not in tune, or maybe they feel like they don't understand. So now we're able to connect, and I feel like I'm in a position in my age right now to where I have the influence of both generations. To where we can kind of combine it all together. But then even to go back to the last question because you asked me about balance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I skipped over that. But as far as balance, like you said, when it comes to politics, a lot of people say you shouldn't do it, don't get involved with it. So I'm pretty much I represent a lot of people. You know what I mean? And when I say a lot of people, I'm not speaking for anybody who doesn't know me, but there are a lot of people who are behind me, who support me.
For sure.
I consider it to have like a kitchen cabinet. So I seek counsel. When I'm going through things, there are people who answer that phone when I'm calling.
Mhm.
They respond to those text messages, or if they don't answer the phone, and I'll shoot a text message like, "Hey, I need to talk to you and get something off my
For
chest,"
sure.
because people understand how important this is, but also it's how stressful this can be. And none of my friends have ever done this before or put themselves out there to do that. So there are people who support me, who feel like this isn't the space or the place for them. but everything that we talk about and everything that we discuss, all the things that we've been through, they allow me to lean on them. They communicate with me. They're open to my phone calls and stuff like that. So, I have people that I can reach out to and talk to when I'm having a rough day or when I need to make a decision, because all the decisions that I make aren't based on solely myself. Like, I legitimately, I'm connected to solid people who
Sure.
are 100%.
That's really important, and I appreciate that balance reflection. I think one thing for us is, we have, at least for me, in certain aspects of my life, I had to get over this of being okay with asking for help. And because we can be very prideful individuals, and I think we're at that age though too where we understand the value of networking.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Speak on that a little bit more, because you were touching on it a little bit. And what is the value of networking? What is the value of building relationships? And how is that going to be a big part of what you do in your city council seat?
Absolutely. So relationships to me is a currency. You know what I mean? And then when you exchange relationships and you build relationships, I mean, everybody understands how currency, they say money rules the world, but it's not always what you know, it's who you know.
Mhm.
And then also, I can't be all things for all people. And I took that from Andre Horton. So I got to,
Thanks.
I got to shout him out for that. Because this is
Shout out to
where I'm
Andre.
like, why wasn't you at the event? He's like, hey, man, I can't be all things for all people. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So understanding that, and then being able to network and collaborate with people who have similar beliefs as you that can carry the message on, beneficial when you're trying to do something that's going to be transformational. That's something that's going to be impactful. You have to have people that believe in you. In order for people to believe in you, you have to know who you are, and you have to create those relationships. It can't be a one-time thing, because people are always watching. You know what I mean? To see what you have going on, to see if you're somebody that they want to be connected to or associated with. So it's important to build relationships and deliver messages. It's important to deliver. It's important to create relationships to be able to get into places and spaces, to be in some of those rooms.
Sure.
Sometimes money can't pay your way into a room that a relationship can.
Mm.
And then sometimes when you're out of money, but you have good friends, and because that has happened to me before. There have been events that have been taking place in Erie that's like, you need to be at this event, like, and there's a cover fee. I'm like, bro, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, listen, I know you good for it. This is definitely a space for you. There's a scholarship opportunity for you, or there's a grant opportunity for you, or don't worry. Tell them, connect with me and I got you. And that has benefited me. Like, even going to some of those Erie homecoming events, like Curtis Jones, he always reaches out to me and like, hey, bro, you need to be down here, man. Like, he like, it's a program, fill out this application or whatever. I went to the KeyCon event twice. That was through my job, but at one point in time, there was somebody who was willing to sponsor me for that as well. So, like, being able to have those relationships where those doors can get open, you can make those connections, because then when you enter the room is full of people who are either winning or who want to help you win. And that's what I've learned too. When you ask for help, like, I had to send a message to somebody today, like, yo, I feel like I'm starting to bother you. Like, you should get tired of me, because I don't have a problem with asking for help.
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem asking for connections. I don't have no problem offering connections and sharing connections. I feel like relationships, positive, healthy relationships, are going to change the world. So it's important to be able to network with people. It's important to pride yourself in integrity. It's important to have friends as well as associates, as well as know who your enemies are. So, like, creating relationships, positive, healthy relationships will be beneficial. But even if relationships that aren't the best for you, if you keep a close watch on some of those things that they do, it could potentially save your life.
Of course. That's a great point. And I found the value in networking like crazy, man. I mean, I think that's been one of my, and one of the things I love about Erie, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Erie is just, in full transparency, there's a lot of work that needs to be done here. Like, I'm not gonna hold back in saying that at all.
Right.
I've been here for 19 years. I appreciate the city. I love the city. I've built my business here in the city, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. With that being said, if you had to give me 2 or 3 of your biggest issues, or the things that you really wanna ride on when you get into your city, or you do it anyways. So what are those 2 or 3 issues that you really focus on, in your day-to-day, and how are you going to carry that into your seat?
Right. So this is the thing, and I'm glad that you led with, like, Erie needs some work, because, like, based on the conversations that I've been a part of, and based on the people that I've been networking and connecting with, a lot of work is being done in Erie. A lot of work is being done on Erie, and there are plenty of opportunities for us to get involved. So one of the biggest things that I want to run on is, like, community resources.
offering resources to people within the community who have the ability to get involved with some of the changes that are going on in Erie, to have an impact on the things that are changing, the benefits of Erie, and then being able to have like an economic impact. There are a lot of people who work in the shadows, or there are a lot of people who work by themselves as individuals who can add value to what's going on, and that value that can be added is to this change in Erie. So we talk about community resources. Like here at Radius, we ran some small business workshops. You know what I mean? Helping people get registered for people who want to be entrepreneurs, helping people register businesses, getting their license. We had a grant writing workshop. We also did an insurance, business insurance workshop, business planning, and marketing and strategizing and stuff like that. Because there will be opportunities to where when things need redeveloped, there are contracts. I mean, government contracts. Something as simple as planting trees up in State Street. There are people who have a green thumb or who have a heart for landscape who just go and cut the neighbor's grass every single day. But if you offer some of those individuals the resources to build themselves up to a business, then you can allow them to get a government contract and add value to the city. You know what I mean? Some of the other community resources, when I grew up in Erie, like the community leaned on, relied on. You know what I mean? There was a lot of great things that were coming out of community centers, and there were a lot of people who were involved. And I think that there are some issues with the community centers because a lot of people who came from those programs go back to give back, and sometimes they don't feel the need to. And because it's 2025 and we live in pretty much an incentive-based world, we need to figure out how we can incentivize some of those people to give back to the community so we can build and repair it. And sometimes those resources or those incentives are already being offered, but they're not being distributed to the people who really have an impact. So we sit back and we look at it like Erie needs a lot of help. Erie needs a lot of work. Nobody's doing anything when there are people who are actually working and they're trying to open doors and create opportunities for people. But I feel like, again, there's a demographic of people who aren't aware of this information because sometimes people don't go to city council. They're not up to date on local government, and some of our local officials don't come to where we are. They don't meet us where we are all the time. There were times they were running a city council meeting in the community this summer. That was a great initiative, but there are people who are intimidated by some of those places, or intimidated and sitting in front of a council, but they still need help, and they are still working hard. So being able to reach out to people in the community who we know are doing good work and have a word of mouth with a good reputation to say, hey, we're here to help you. How can we help you? How can we support you? There's places to where you can go somewhere and you can have somebody help us set a business plan up. You can go somewhere and have somebody help get you registered, or even research. Everybody's not meant to be a boss. So then even employment, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Work readiness. When I say work readiness, some people have an application. There are people who are willing to work hard, but they get intimidated seeing the application or a resume or a cover letter. Like there are individuals who didn't pay that much attention in school to where they don't know how to write and read they know how to write and read, but not write the right information to get those opportunities. And I want to be able to provide that. And again, those resources are available if people aren't aware of them because it is intimidating to talk about these things. So if you can figure out a way to deal with some of those intimidations or deal with some of those barriers and identify some of the hardworking people who are going unnoticed or who are going missed because maybe some of their own fears or anxieties, or maybe because of so much busyness of the people on the council, then we're able to offer people resources and they can see the value that they can add to the city. And they can also see the advancements that are happening. Because I've been part of conversations with different people who have a 5-year plan for the city, 10-year, 15-year plan.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who just think it's a dump. And people are trying to leave here not realizing that if you be patient and you get a part of what's going on, things can improve.
Most definitely.
So that's one thing that I want to lean into. And then I feel like that kind of ties into and connects to public safety. You know what I mean? Because since the community resources aren't available, it's kind of like everybody's scrapping after the same thing. So it's competition within our city, and it's not enough collaboration. So you have a lot of people who are doing the same things, and they're not working together. When I'm not opposed to doing the same things, but I feel like we can figure out a way to collaborate. We can build trust within our neighborhoods. Young people will be able to look at and know who's who, and then we'll be able to. Like at one point in time, everybody knew everybody. So if I was doing something I had no business doing, somebody else's mom would tell me. Today, people don't talk to the kids. But we also tell our kids don't talk to police. So that's another issue when you talk about public safety. How can we get our police officers to engage with the people in the city of Erie, not always in uniform, not always in a squad car? How can we get some of the officers of Erie to come to shop at some of these local businesses and just actually come into the neighborhoods that they patrol, and gain some of that trust? That won't be easy. How can we get some of the people in Erie to trust that when they see a police officer, it's not always going to be a negative interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Again, these aren't things that are going to happen overnight. It's not going to be a week, a day. I mean, it might take years to do this, but I feel like it's important because I haven't had issues with the Erie police, and I know nationwide people have issues and stuff with the police, but I don't see I don't. It sounds a little more, but I don't see it being as bad as other places is, and I feel like if we can figure out a way to get involved now, build our communities up, have some neighborhood watch programs, and I don't necessarily mean watch the crimes. You know what I mean? Watch to see like what does our neighborhood need. We can put more community gardens in the neighborhood if that's what's going to help people, or get back to running the after sports programs or having some type of financial literacy programs with people within the community who have utilized the resources to offer it to their neighborhoods, and then we build a level of trust, and our neighborhoods are more safe because people are trusting one another. Police are coming in, they're frequenting our businesses, and we're just acknowledging one another. So those are two of my main things that I would like to run on top of housing. You know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like if we can get back to the village mentality that Erie, what I was raised on when I was living in Erie,
For sure.
I benefited from the after school program, the community center, free lunch in the park, Boy Scouts, swimming in the pool at the Erie the Boys and Girls Club, and then at the Erie One, the Booker T. So it was a lot of different things that it was just, even just talking about, I get like a nostalgic feeling, but it was safe around here.
Yeah.
People felt comfortable around here to just roam and not have to worry about safety. And it's like a lot of the young people, they don't see us collaborating. They don't see us involved with one another. It's easy for them to run amok because they don't have nobody to look up to. You know what I mean? Like if we were to tell the young folks to get along, they could legitimately look at us and be like, look at y'all.
Yeah.
Look at y'all. Like it's siloed. Like the organizations within the city are siloed, and we need to figure out a way to where we can build a safer community, because if these young folks see order, if they see structure, if they see adult people doing great and positive things, then maybe they'll gravitate more towards it. They won't be committing crime. Then that gives our police officers a little less stress about coming into our neighborhoods when they see young kids who look like them. So I think it's important for us to rebuild our community, to have more leaders involved in the community, to work on the public safety, and to offer some of these people resources who need them, not always send them jumping through hoops, because there are a lot of different places where you have to jump through hoops to get. You need help today, and you might have to do an 8-week program to get the help that you need today, when you miss out on your opportunity.
Absolutely. And we talked offline about a couple of these things, just in regards to collaboration and competition, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with being competitive,
right?
We can still be collaborative in that as well.
Absolutely.
And so, you bring up such great points, especially with our youth. Like, it's easy for us to sit back and say, "Oh, the youth is doomed," and where we have to take some of that responsibility too.
Absolutely.
Where are they? What are they seeing? What are they? How are we modeling good and appropriate behavior that they're drawing from? Are we being those role models? Are we being those things? And I think we have to. You're absolutely right and spot on in saying that there's a lot of people doing a lot of things here, and I feel like we take competition to a very intense degree, because instead of trying to be competitive and say, "Hey, we can all eat at the same table,"
right?
I just want to be the best in my space.
Right.
You could be the best in yours.
Right.
You have that same mentality. I have that same mentality.
Right.
We could be cool. We can still make this work.
Right.
Having that balance is tough. It's just tough for us. So to be able to model that behavior to our younger people, it brings me to another point, though. It brings me to, and you had mentioned this a little bit ago, is mental health, right? And so, is mental health something that, what does mental health mean to you?
Okay.
Mental health and wellness. This is a two-parter, so just bear with me, and I'll repeat. What does mental health and wellness mean to you? Why is it important? And particularly for the younger generation, why is it important for us to lead our community in a better mental health and wellness space?
Okay, so as far as what mental health means to me is being okay with yourself. You know what I mean? Being mentally sound. I guess I shouldn't have used the word in the definition defining the word. So being aware of your feelings, being aware of your emotions, being aware of situations that cause you to different feelings or different emotions, and being able to deal with situations when they arise without losing yourself, without crashing out, as they say, or without jumping off on the deep end. You know what I mean? Like there are times I was working as a drug and alcohol counselor for 12 and a half years, and I did a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy. being able to identify what's going on and being able to think about it before you act and checking your behaviors. I think it's very important for us to be in tune with our mental health as far as our feelings. Being able to identify your feelings, acknowledge your feelings, and understanding that it's not a bad thing if you're not okay. It's okay to not be okay and to deal with it. I think a lot of people, when you hear mental health, you instantly think crazy. Well, that it used to be. You instantly think crazy, and when you tell somebody, let's work on the mental health, you feel like it's insulting to them. You're calling them a name, or it's derogatory. But over time, what I've learned is it's important for me to be in tune with myself, be aware of my feelings, and understand some of the things that trigger negative feelings in me. Not so I can avoid them, but so I can cope with them. Because I'm not going to run from anything that makes me uncomfortable. But I also need to be able to feel safe in my level of discomfort and be able to make sure that I'm treating people in a manner to where they also feel safe. So by understanding the importance of mental health and mental health wellness, like I sought out a therapist, I want to say 4, maybe 5 years ago. And it went from weekly to bi-weekly to monthly to now as needed. But just being able to have a conversation with somebody who has an unbiased opinion, who can offer me some advice and some feedback about some of the things that they're hearing from me, and then being able to guide me in the right direction, and even sometimes just having a sounding board of somebody to talk to. I feel like that's very important because it helped me get to know myself a lot better. And I feel like when you know yourself a little bit better, you can't be triggered by certain things, or you know things that can trigger you, how to calm yourself down, and then you know how to act or carry yourself in a manner that you don't look destructive, that people aren't intimidated by you, or people aren't judging you or ruining your reputation because you're not mentally safe and you're not mentally sound. So, in terms of mental health and wellness, I feel like for me, I have to make sure that I'm mentally healthy, I'm mentally safe, and people around me are mentally healthy, mentally safe, and that we can be in the same space and all be mentally healthy and mentally safe.
Absolutely. No, I think it's important. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, because I was going to say, like, as far as young people, I think we as adults, once we learn these things and we're able to identify our shortcomings, as well as identify our triggers, then we can role model better behaviors to them. And once we are more educated on the subject of mental health and how to manage and maintain mental health, then we can also teach. So instead of me and you having a disagreement because you upset me or I said, now I want to put my hands up, we can have a conversation. Even if the conversation is heated, we're having a conversation where I'm allowing you to get your thoughts and your feelings across. You're allowing me to get my thoughts and my feelings across to where a heated conversation can turn into a friendship, or it can turn into an understanding of, well, we don't see eye to eye on that, and that's just not something that either you or I are going to discuss. But I feel safe, and I know that you're not thinking in your mind right now you want to do something to hurt me. And I feel like if we can figure out a way to teach young people to start talking about mental health and mental wellness and the taboo of, for lack of better words, crazy, or for lack of better words, now you need meds because that's what somebody said to you.
Right.
Then I feel like we can start building relationships, start helping young folks do some conflict resolution, and help adults learn some de-escalation techniques. So then when these situations arise, we're aware of everything that's going on around us. So mental health to me ultimately means safety.
Love that. And you hit on a couple of things like conflict resolution, right? Like that's such an important piece, right? Me being in the space of mental health and wellness, and I also teach at State Parent. I teach a multicultural competency class, right? And so a lot of my students, we're talking about, I'm getting a pulse and saying, the up and coming psychologists of the world that are coming into the space. What do you think y'all need to be better clinicians, or how can you all be well to promote wellness, right? Because we got to be well first before we can really, really be well with any other aspects of our lives or teach wellness. We have to teach ourselves wellness, right? So a lot of them say the same thing. I have no conflict resolution skills. Like I have, I struggle with that. Even if I study it, I feel like I'm still struggling. And so I guess my next question was going to be, how do we implement better mental health techniques in our community, and what avenues and which ways do you feel like we need to go with that? Is it the schools? Is it policy? Is it getting people to say we got to go to these city council meetings and you got to speak up for mental health related issues? Like what are some of your thoughts about how do we make this a priority?
So honestly, because we live in the city of Erie, and Erie is a very friendly city, we need to lean in on the people who are the most popular in the city, and we need to figure out ways that we can tap into them and check with their mental health and see if they're educated on the subject, and get them to publicly speak about it. I feel like there are individuals in the city of Erie who are constantly watching, who are always watching, where when they say this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. So if we don't have to work too hard, if we can identify people who can be, I was speaking in the last interview about champions.
Yeah.
If we can find different champions in different levels
Love
of
that
community that can, are open to coming to some of these workshops that you host, or are open to having you come into their spaces to teach them, to talk about it, and to have an open and honest conversation, because a lot of people think it's BS. You know what I mean? And some people feel like they're okay. So you have to be okay with somebody telling you what you're talking about doesn't make any sense to them, and then being able to have the patience to teach them. So I think it's important. I wouldn't say like tell people come to the city council meeting and speak about that, because ultimately when you talk about mental health, it's about the individual himself.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So we can say we're going to rewrite a bunch of new policies, so we're going to address mental health and these services are available, but if nobody feels like they're okay, nobody feels like they're not okay, then they're not going to reach out for those services. So it's more of a, how can we educate people on what mental health means, breaking it down in the most layman's terms, using the most popular people and allowing them to be the champions of the movement, and then them tapping into their communities to say, hey, we're addressing this. You know what I mean? Like I've had some issues, and I was open to sitting and having a conversation. I learned a lot of things about myself. These are some doors that opened up for me. And I want to share my story. And again, that's why, like, when I originally started this social experiment, was to get more people who had some type of activity going on to talk about the good things that they were doing, so people can see it.
No doubt.
Because we live in the city, again, where people are seeing something, they want to do it, or they want to do better. So imagine what it would look like if every individual who considered themselves to be a community leader not just spoke about mental health, but checked it to their own. You know what I mean? Imagine if every person who has some type of involvement with the organization or with a group of individuals, no matter what it's like, tapped in and was like, let me check on myself and let me speak about it publicly. Let me put it on my social media, because when you see stuff on social media, we all got group chats. So we boom, screenshot.
Yep.
Oh, send that to the group chat. Oh yeah, you're talking all this is what's going on. So we all have different networks and different ways to communicate with people. So we need to figure out a way to deliver the message, and continuously tap into the subconscious mind of the importance of mental health, and then have opportunities available when people are finally waking up and saying, yeah, this is something that I want to address. I'm not sure if it starts in the community center. I'm not sure if it starts in this school. I legitimately feel like we have to meet people where they are, but I know certain venues you can't go into to have conversations about mental health. But unfortunately, a lot of people who have those issues are in spaces where your mental health is impacted the most. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to be able to go to a bar and have a happy hour mental health workshop session, because not saying I think that's a great idea, but because that's what the people.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You have to go to where the people are in order to engage with them, because if you're not meeting people where they are, they're not going to believe you. It's going to look fake when you just say, hey, I'm doing this thing. It's like, hold on. First of all, who is this guy? I've never seen him in my neighborhood. Second of all, what is he trying to talk about mental health for? Now he's labeling us and saying we're all crazy. He's never even been to where I've been at. So I think it's important to meet people where they are and see how you can, because all of us as professionals, we have assessment skills. You have to assess when the opportunity strikes for you to have that conversation. And once you're engaging with that individual, you have to figure out, how can I speak to this person to deliver a message that's going to teach them and not make it seem like I'm putting them down.
Absolutely. That's powerful. That's powerful. And I loved what you said about meeting people where they're at, because I think that so often the issues, and I'm not just saying Erie, everywhere has this issue. The assumption is, right, that, we have all these resources here. It's accessible to everybody. Everybody should know. If you don't know, it's your problem.
Right.
That's the problem in itself.
Absolutely,
to have that mentality, right?
Absolutely is.
And it's like, I love what you said about meeting people where they're at. I'll never forget this. I've taken this with me since my internship back in 2014. My internship supervisor said to me, because I was working at a substance abuse agency, and he the first day on the job, I sat down, and I feel like I got all this wealth of knowledge. You know what I mean? I just got done reading my substance abuse books,
right.
So I'm fresh in it, and and I'm ready to go. I'm answering the questions, and he's just like, I need you to take a breath. He's like, don't come in here. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was being real.
Right.
And I appreciated that. Don't come in here and think that you're going to rattle off a bunch of mumbo jumbo,
Right.
and you're gonna reach these people.
Right.
Like you gotta meet them where they're at. You gotta go into their world.
Right.
And you have to be familiar with their world.
Right.
You have to empathize with them, empathize with their world, their environment, their experiences, especially because I'm not an addict.
Right.
I've never been an addict.
Right.
So I didn't know that,
Right.
you know, so that wasn't my wheelhouse of things.
Mhm.
So I remember putting myself in a position to say, you know what, I'm not familiar with this population, and that's okay.
Mhm.
How can I empathize with this population?
Right.
How can I meet people where they're at and begin to learn? Take me into your world. And I feel like politicians, and that's what I want. That's what I want to see as a person looking on, from the outside.
Right.
That's what I want to see in the city council. I want to see people who want to meet us where we're at and listen to us.
Right.
You feel like you have a good pulse on that. I mean, explain, talk to me about that a little bit.
So because I've been to I've said this to some of our local elected officials. Like I told them, like, when it was time for you to get the seat, you called my phone, you text my phone, you knocked on my door, you came to the places that I'm freaking. You came to the community centers and you wanted to show your face and you were getting your petition signed. But then when it was time for you, when you won the seat, you just went and sat behind the seat.
Huh.
And I feel like in order for you to help the people, you have to be of the people. And once you get to the point to where you can help the people, you can't leave the people behind and just try to help them from a pedestal. So I don't plan on changing the way that I move or the people that I interact with or organizations that I'm associated with or connected to, because it's important for me to come into those places and those spaces where people are to hear what they have to say. The first time I went to a city council meeting and spoke at the podium, my heart was beating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sitting there like, man, you feel like you in court or something like that. So I can understand the level of intimidation. And I feel like I speak very well. I mean, it takes a lot to intimidate me. And I've ran groups, drug and alcohol groups with people up to 150 people in the room. But when you go into a space like that, it's kind of intimidating. So it's important for us to realize that when you talk about empathizing and understanding that there are people who have concerns who may have had to send family off from going into courtrooms, or may have been in courtrooms themselves and didn't get good feelings, or you go in that building, you walk through a metal detector, that's the police station is there. So it's very intimidating. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when you're trying to promote change and you have all of these resources, you can't always blame the people for not coming to get them when you have an environment that looks like if I go in there, I may not ever come back. So I think it's important for elected officials to continue to go to the places where they normally went, like not to switch up and not to change and feel like, okay, now I have to hang only with this group of people because now I am one of them. But to be true to your people and stay in those spaces, because you can advocate for the people in the places that you come from. But if you leave, how can you help? You can't help from the high rise. Like you said, you can't come in there with the mumbo jumbo. Things change. So let's say I'm down with the community for now, and then I get to see, and then I don't go back, and it's 4-year seat. So in 2 years, the whole language has changed, and I'm still trying to implement ideas from 2 years ago. Like Erie is a trendy city, things change often, and you have to be involved with the changes that are being made in order for you to implement policies that are going to benefit the changes that are being made. So I think it's important for us to stay in tune by continuing to interact and involve with the people who have a say-so that is influential and that matters. Because again, people get on social media all day and complain. And like I was telling somebody, that's not a bad thing because they don't sometimes have the capacity to come to a city council meeting, but some of their complaints are valid. Like I drive in the city of Erie, and if I see 100 people on social media complaining about potholes, I drove through the streets. I can't be like, oh, you didn't come to the meeting and say that. I seen it on social media. I also know it's a problem that needs to be addressed. So sometimes you have to actually meet people where they are. If it's a Facebook status, if it's a Facebook post, if it's a live video, and figure out the validity of some of those concerns, and is there anything that can be done? And then you can reach back out to those people and say, hey, we're making changes because of what we saw on your page. People will feel like, oh, wow, somebody's listening. Somebody's paying attention.
For sure.
So then when I meet you there, or I get in your comments, or I'm on a post where it's like, hey, this is how we're going to help that situation. Then when I invite you down to a city council meeting and say, hey, can you come speak to this? It's going to be like, yo, this guy's listening to me. First of all, he came to my restaurant. You know what I mean? He bought one of my items off me, clothing items. Then he's on my Facebook. He's listening to my comments, and there's an actual change that's going to happen. And he asked me to come to a city council meeting to speak. So now you can turn it into more of a privilege. You can turn it more into an honor because you are asking your friends to come to your job to grab the microphone and speak for their concerns because they trust you. They put you in that seat and you didn't leave them once you got to where you said you were going to go. So I think it's important to continue to be of the people. It's important to continue to be amongst the people. And then even on the flip side, I don't think a lot of people say this, but I think it's important for the people to understand what you're doing and to protect you. And when I say to protect you, hold me accountable.
Yeah.
You see me doing something I have no business doing, or you see me in a place where like, yo, it's probably not a good idea for you to be here right now. Give me the heads up. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm not asking anybody to, send anybody to jail or nothing like that. But if you know some guys that's in the room with me and it's beef amongst the two of them and it's an opportunity for it to go, tell me to get out of here. Because I'm an asset to the community, you know what I mean? And if I'm in this space because I want to hear your concerns, I don't want to speak for you. I'm trying to make life better for all of us. I'm trying to protect all of us. So if I'm in a vulnerable situation or if I'm in a place or a space where I don't know everything that's going on in the room, and let's say you do, but you're not one of them people that want to speak up about me, just come nudge me and let me know, bro, it's not good. We need you for the long haul. So right now it's time for you to exit. So we got to work together. So when you go into the community and you're amongst those people or those places where you always go, it's not always safe. It's not. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm not saying Erie is a dangerous place, but I've been even some boys a fight in the bar, or you know what I mean? Like people have been shot around here, and things like that, to where I don't want to be in a space to where I don't know it's not safe. Somebody else knows it's not safe,
right?
And they just allow me to sit there and possibly catch a stray bullet or get sucker punched, or somebody has a negative opinion about me and they've been waiting to see me walk into this room. Like I need people to have my back because I'm gonna have theirs as well. So it's kind of like us supporting one another so we continue to stay at the table. We can continue to be part of those conversations. Our ideas and our suggestions can be heard. And then we're taking care of one another. I don't want to see anybody fail. I don't want to see anybody fall apart. I don't want to see anybody lose. I want to see anybody get hurt or be put in vulnerable situations where they're not safe. And I want people to have that same consideration, that same respect for me, because I feel like what I'm doing is important for not just me, but for all of us.
Absolutely. And you hit on a couple points too. And one of the things that came to me was the power of being an active listener. Active listening is listening to understand and not listening to respond. I feel like that's the quality that politicians, therapists, lay people, pastors, whatever, is a skill set that we all need to take heed on and develop on, because that's where true connection and relationship is truly built. So I appreciate you speaking on that. And in fact, I do want to highlight and you everything that you're talking about. I just want to highlight for the people too that I see it. I see it in real time. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you get a little vulnerable sometimes in your social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you get a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a scary place to be for some of us, especially Black men. It's vulnerability is a scary thing.
Right.
And being open to the shots, to the chinks in the armor. We don't want to always showcase that.
Right.
So I got a couple more questions. We still good?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Time, man.
Perfect. Okay. I just making sure.
Tonight. Yeah.
And so I just want to say, speaking to Black men in the space, how do you feel that the city's history has shaped your perspective on leadership and community advocacy?
Okay.
So how what have you're from here? How have you seen this thing take place? How has inclusivity been interwoven throughout the city? Do we feel like inclusivity is supported? Do we feel like it's lacking? Do we feel like Black people are good here? There was a study back in 2019 saying this is one of the worst places for African American men. Obviously we're not on that list anymore. So again, not a shot to Erie, but I'm just talking about statistics. Absolutely. So where do you think things are with that? How is your perspective as a Black man in this space? How do you feel about the city?
Okay. So, and again, I'm not sure if it's because of my work and the things that I've done and how I put myself out there, like to those vulnerabilities, but I do see plenty of opportunity for myself in certain spaces, not all spaces, because I understand how I look, and how I can present to different people. When you talk about advocacy, my entire life of living in Erie, there have always been people who have been fighting for us to have opportunities.
Yeah.
And they've always created those opportunities for us. So I wasn't privy to know what they knew from back in those days, why they fought so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those men like Mr. Gary Horton, who are still, I guess we'll call it fighting.
Yeah.
Or some of those people who are still advocating for us to get opportunities. Mr. Andre Horton, one of those people who are still advocating for us to get opportunities. Mr. Larry Merritt of God rest his soul, I feel like he passed away for us to get opportunities, but we do have opportunities. And I think the most important thing that we need to understand is if we come together collectively and we can start working together, we can go shake some trees to get some leaves to fall, because there are resources and opportunity available for people of color, but it's only for the people of color who have learned how to organize themselves. So when you have an organization of people of color who are organized, and there are funds for people of color, and you don't know where to put those funds, they'll give them all to the same people. So if we can figure out a way to tap into our people who feel like Erie is not a place for people of color, who feel like Erie there's no opportunity, and we can organize and we can put ourselves in front of those people who offer those funds out, then more people will be able to have those resources. More people will be able to have those opportunities. But a lot of us don't understand that. A lot of us don't think like that. We're not willing to do the work or put forth the effort, or like you said, ask for help.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like, there are people who live in the city of Erie who have supported me, who I've been able to work with and build relationships with that didn't look like me. Some of the people who have encouraged me the most didn't look like me. But again, the people who don't look like me are more privy to information. So I've leaned on some people who understand that they are privileged and they're willing to help and interested in helping. They're asking me, like, where are more people like you? So the thing with that is trying to get people to understand why I do some of the things that I do, so that we can kind of create some of those mindsets to get some Black men who can organize themselves to come and go get some of those resources that we've been asking for from other people for years. Because nobody needs to hold my money for me and tell me how to spend it. You know what I mean? So there are, even if you just think about it, going to the federal government, you know what I mean, and going to like how money trickles down, like there is money that is divvied up for communities. There's money divvied up for organizations, for programs, for people who are willing to do those things. What we have to do is teach our Black men within the community how to organize, how to be strategic, how to come together, how to collaborate and say, hey, these are some of our needs and we want to take care of them and we want to address them. These are some of the issues in our community and we want to address them. We want to take care of them, and we are organized. We have a business plan. We are registered. We have our lawyers, and we have some lawyers who are willing to work with us because they understand the need. We have some consultants who are willing to work with us because they understand the needs, but we are now organized. We're not going to go ask for help or permission from some third-party outlet when we know that there are resources available, and we know that we have a councilman that we can speak to who is also aware of these resources being available, and he's told us that it will be available when we came ready. We're ready and we're organized. So I think it's important for us to understand that there are resources available. There are opportunities available. It's not as bad as we make it up in our own minds as far as the lack of opportunities for diverse populations of people. And I'm not saying that it's just wide open for us, by no means.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just looking at it more on the optimistic side of the availability and some of the people who are willing to help and some of the people who are willing to assist. I think sometimes we need to have more conversations with people who aren't of color and stop always saying they're trying to be saviors, because some people don't understand and they could never understand, but they legitimately and genuinely want to help and they want to have a better understanding of how they can help. But it can't just be, how can I help you, bro? You, sir. It has to be a collective of us who say, hey, these are some of our issues. These are some of our concerns. We want the resources, but the most important thing is we have to do the work and we have to be organized and we have to be strategic.
Absolutely.
And I feel like once we're able to do that collectively, then we'll kind of see how there is opportunity for more people of color within the city of Erie, and how the people who don't look like us are willing to help us, who are interested in helping us, and they don't have to be afraid of us, because there is a brain. I drop this thing as far as Black people aren't educated. I just got my master's degree. I know you have your master's degree. You're teaching at, a university. I have a couple other friends who are very highly educated. So we need to work hard. And it's unfortunate to say it, but it's true. We need to work hard to show that the stigma is not real, and that we're ready, we're willing to step up, we're willing to do whatever it takes for us to be able to receive those resources for those opportunities of all the redevelopment that's going on in the city of Erie.
For sure, which is a lot of stuff going on, which is fantastic. I mean, I think that's one thing that I've been, again, being here for 19 years. In that time, obviously I'm not from here, but I've seen so much happen, and there's a lot more possibility that can happen. It brings me to a concept, and as you were talking, I was thinking about, status quo bias, right? Just the same old stuff, but not that necessarily status quo the same is necessarily always a bad thing. But I think we always have to take a step back and look at, okay, what is working, what's not working, and what do we need to do to say, hey, we gotta not necessarily step out of our comfort zone. Somebody told me this before too. They said, don't say step out of your comfort zone. They say expand your comfort zone. Right. Expand your net. And I always love that. Expand your. Like that. Y'all can take that for what it is, and expand your comfort zone. Let's not step out of it. You know, how do we showcase, like, you know what? Hey, it's okay to expand your comfort. It's okay to do new things. For the people that are just kind of set in their old in their mindsets. Like, this is how things go. This is how things always gone. How do we reach those people? And how do we, say, hey, let's branch out a little bit. Let's because I personally feel like that's one thing that's always kept Erie a little bit behind was status quo. This is how things go. This is how things need to be kept. How do we break that?
I think it's important for us to be leaders. When you say that, like, you have to actually do those things and then share your experiences when you have expanded or stepped out of your comfort zone. You know what I mean? You have to. People like to see things before they're told things as how to do things. You know what I mean? So I feel like the people who feel like it's necessary or it's important for you to do that, how have you stepped out of your comfort zone? How have you expanded that? And what were some of the benefits or what were some of the rewards? Because you can't ask a scary person to jump out of an airplane if you don't show them how a parachute works.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? So I'm not just gonna say, okay, yeah, you just jump and pull the string. Like, no, I'm gonna show you. Then I'm gonna teach you how, and then I'm gonna train you. So, like, again, I'm very vocal about the things that I do. I'm very vocal about the opportunities that have been afforded to me, and then I expose myself to things that make me uncomfortable. And I think that's important as well. I had a conversation at Mercyhurst when I was talking to some of the staff. I worked in a prison for 7.5 years as a female state correctional institution. The majority of the people who worked out there were Caucasian people. How did you deal with that? I exposed myself to environments and situations to where I was always told I don't belong. So even like when Roar on the Shore was here, oh, we don't go down there, it's all more. I'm down there hanging out at Roar on the Shore.
For sure.
Cherry Fest, Polish Fest, like anything that's going on that is happening in the city of Erie, I feel like I'm allowed to attend because I live here too and I'm privy to. But I also know that I might be the only person that looks like me. I expose myself to those environments so I can learn how to navigate through them instead of me being ignorant and trying to like stay back. That's the way the world works. That's the world looks. That's how the world looks. You know what I mean? You can't just say, okay, I want my whole community to just be one race or one color or one. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. And people are set in their ways as far as like, this is how we always do things because they're not exposing themselves to the changes in the world and understanding how exposing yourself to those changes can not only impact you as an individual, but can also change your mindset. Because just like I have my bias about the world has a bias about me.
No doubt. Yes.
And my opinions aren't always right, and neither is the world's. But how do I challenge my thoughts? How do I challenge my bias? How do I challenge those things that are status quo are always the same if I don't try anything? And I believe that we are a generation of people who are risk takers. You know what I mean? Like I said, again, I'm 38 years old. I know some people who have done some things that their ancestors haven't done, or they've done some things that wasn't happening in their lineage. And I think it's important that we share some of those things. What did you do that made you uncomfortable? How were you successful about it? Why did you do it? If somebody else were to do it, how could they go about doing it? And we just have to continuously just share the word, because seeing is believing. You know what I mean? So I can hear about it, but we have social media. We live in a technology age right now. So if you're doing something, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and you're winning from it, or you're benefiting from it, continue to share that with other people, because people aren't just going to take your word for it when you tell them, hey, I just stepped into this new environment and I learned all of these things, and you just sitting here typing it away. Like, no, show us a video. You going somewhere where you're the only person, and then tell us how they treated you, make a friend. You know what I mean? I did a campaign where I was talking to strangers every day, you know what I mean, and sharing about it, because then it was like, people were like, oh, that's really not a bad idea. And I see how he's progressing. So when you expose yourself to environments and you expand your comfort zone, as you say, I think it's important for us to share with other people, because we're all watching one another.
For sure.
And then invite people with you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's just a true testament to, being for the people, right? And modeling what this thing is about. You know, I might be the only person that looks like that at that event, but I'm going to go to that event.
Bro, I'm 38 years old, black man running for city council.
Yeah.
Like if that's not
no doubt.
if that's not going up against the status quo, you know what I mean? Especially when you look at the other candidates, shout out to all the other candidates who are running, but nobody looks like me and nobody is of my age. When I say look like me, I don't mean like a black man. You know what I mean? Because there's 3 black men on there.
For
I
sure.
just mean like as far as a demographic, the way that I dress, the things that I've done. So it's just kind of like I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like it's important to do so, but there's a lot of people like, oh man, I don't know how you do that, or you crazy for doing that. So even just challenging that, like you're not supposed to be the person to do that because look at you. That's a challenge for me within yourself. So
Sure.
yeah, man, I just continue to live it every single day and then share it. Be active on social media, be active in all the places and spaces that I go and visit, and just put my head out there, man. Be willing
Fantastic.
to take shots if they come.
Fantastic. I got 2 more questions for you.
I'm ready for it.
All right, 2 more. What does a thriving Erie look like to you?
Okay.
If you woke up tomorrow, everything was where you wanted it to be.
Okay.
What does that look like for you?
So if Erie was thriving, I would like to see more prestigious families within the city of Erie. I think I spoke to this a little bit the other day, but there are like 4 or 5 families in Erie that when you hear their names, you think Nick Scott. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hear the Tom Hagens. You know what I mean? You hear the Kathy Dahlcampers. There are Hoffmans. You know what I mean? You hear certain last names in the city of Erie that are like prestigious, but none of those last names are ours.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you think of the Hortons, you instantly think politics and civic duty, and you think of community leaders and champions, but like where are the prestigious families of people who can offer opportunity, who can give jobs, who can generate some revenue and some income? So I think a thriving Erie would be multiple families having a prestigious name. Being able to again network, you know what I mean? Being able to say, hey, I'm gonna call up some of the Coolies, or I'm gonna call some of the Wileys up because we need a job done, or hey, the Wiley family owns half of Peach Street. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think it's important for us when we talk about these resources and getting us more active and involved in the community. We teach our people how to buy the community, how to own the community, and how to have a legacy for their family. If you want to keep your family name here, it's like, okay, those are different because like again, even my rent, like I'm not, oh well, he's a Coolie. That's the family who there's no nothing. There's no at that grocery store. You know what I mean? Or that's the family, they've been in Erie for so long to where they got the paper plant, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But then when you think about the Scots 10, 15, 20 years from now, that'll be the name. Why can't it be Cooley? Why can't it be Wiley? Why can't it be Johnson? Some of those other names, because then also when you think about the way Erie is divided when it comes to family last names, there are some family last names that have just negative energy behind them because of things that people have done years ago and it just never dropped. And it stigmatizes the family to where they feel like I'm doing because I have this last name, I can't be of anything. So if we can figure out how we can tap into some of those families and get some of those families to be prestigious, and also to mingle with some of those families who already are prestigious, so they can teach us the way. Because it's enough for all of us. You know what I mean? So I would love to see some of the Scots and some of the Hagens, Hoffmans, and Dahlkeepers interact or involve themselves with some of our local families and teach us how to build our names up. Because when you think about families in Erie, you think about money, families, and the first family that comes to my name is Crenshaw. Because Mr. Crenshaw does all of that thing. And then there's other people who you can kind of mention, but it's not on the level of things that he's doing. And I feel like it should be more of us. So a thriving Erie would be prestigious families.
I love that.
More opportunities when you talk about entertainment and events and things like that. I feel like the citizens of Erie, well, I do know that we have more of a say so, but I feel like more of us to be more comfortable with saying, hey, at the area events this year, this is what we want. Or we want to move it here on the water. These are some of our suggestions. We don't want the police telling us that we can't park our cars out here because you don't like the new crowd that's coming to the code. We have a say so in the matter. We shouldn't just be isolated to what we're used to getting. But a thriving Erie looks like everybody working together, solving problems. And when there are problems, we address them as a community if need be. And if it's out of our hands, then we allow the law to take its course when it needs to, and we don't interrupt those workings and those dealings. But we all should be able to rely on each other. We all should be able to support one another. And then even when you can't get along with those people or rely on them or support them, I feel like we should have an understanding to where we know that we have to coexist.
For sure.
So we're not going to have any negative interactions. We probably won't have any positive interactions. We can be cordial and continue to keep it moving. Erie should be a place to where people feel safe, people feel comfortable. They can trust their elected officials. They can trust their local authorities as far as police, as far as fire, as far as ambulance. it should be safe enough around her to where you know who your neighbor is. Young people are like, kids are gonna swear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They should know when they should and when they
For
shouldn't.
sure.
Who they can swear in front of and who they should not, and they shouldn't be respecting the dog. Young men should be opening the door for ladies. Just chivalry. Morale. People having morals, having a moral compass, and people just walking around with integrity to where, like, when you hear a name, it's like, okay, that's a good dude. Like,
No
more of
doubt.
us you should be able to call on more people, and they just be positive conversations. That's what thriving really like to me.
Love it. It literally what you were saying connects to my last and final question. It has a lot to do with legacy, right? You mentioned that, the Cooley name, that would be something like, prestigious name, make that a prestigious name. What legacy do you hope to leave behind in general? But you could speak to it too, even from your, if you're elected to city council, what do you hope to leave behind when this is all said and done?
So if we talking the city council thing, I'll start there. I want, like going back to what I was saying, my legacy, I want people to feel like their family is important in the city of Erie because I fought for them to be able to do so. Because I created those relationships for them to have those opportunities to build up their family name, to build up their family prestige to where it's like, you know what? I'm somebody, my family is somebody, and had it not been for Deonte to take that run at that seat and for him to make that noise at those meetings and for him to come and talk to us and then bring our ideas, probably wouldn't have these opportunities as soon as we had. I know I'm not the fix all be all, but I'm advocating for people to be able to have legacies as well. It's bigger than me. It's not just about me. And then also when you create a legacy on your own, people want to take it from you. So if you can create a collaborative legacy amongst other people, then you're able to thrive together, you're able to coexist together, you're able to learn together, you're able to gain together. So I just want to have an environment around me to where people don't feel like they have to be jealous of one family because that family was willing to take a risk, but they're able to work with those families to be able to build their families to where we can compete on a level to where we're all competing to be successful and nobody's trying to put anybody else down. As far as my own legacy, honestly, I just want to be remembered. And when I say be remembered, I don't want any bad connotations with my name. I don't want any stigmas. I want my children to feel proud that I'm their father. I want, if I have grandchildren, my grandchildren to feel proud to say, yeah, I'm a Cooley. Deonte Cooley's grandson. Like, yeah, that's my aunt, but Deonte was my grandson. Yeah, you know who Deonte is. When he got the city council seat and, he made some changes in Erie, he wasn't afraid. He stood up to bullies. He asked uncomfortable questions. He said the things that everybody was thinking, but nobody wanted to say because they didn't know if they were allowed to say it. Pride itself in integrity. Practice humility on a regular basis. And I want to be able to have something to leave behind to where when I go, even when if it's not my family, I want my name to last in Pennsylvania until there's no more road. Like, legitimately, I want people to know, like, I want a statue. You feel me? Like, I want you doing, like,
that's right.
you go down to Perry Square and be like, oh, okay, that's a Deonte Cooley statue right there, holding the microphone, screaming at the top of his lungs. But had it not been for him, we wouldn't have a new library, or we wouldn't have a professional team, or we wouldn't have had a concert with X, Y, and Z. We wouldn't have had those legendary moments. Like, I want to be able to have a lasting name on the city of Erie to where when you think of Erie, Pennsylvania, you think of Deonte Cooley. When you think of anything good that's going on in Erie, Pennsylvania, you feel like somehow, some way he was deep rooted in that. And the only reason why that's just going on is because he made a decision to take a run at the seat. He got the seat and he listened to the people, and the people loved him and they cherished him and they cheered on him. He continued to listen to their interests. He made the city better to where, like, let's name something after him. Let's make sure that any person who ever visits this city knows Deonte Cooley lived here. Deonte Cooley is from here, and you ever see me somewhere else, or if I'm making out of Erie to be some mega star or something, it could be like, how people take pride in, oh yeah, LeBron, he's from Akron, he's from my home, he went to this school. Like, I want people to be like, Deonte used to come to radio, so Deonte did this. So, like, legitimately, I just want my name to last forever, and I want it to be all because of good things, and I want people's family to understand that Deonte put his neck out there for us, and he wasn't afraid to do it. I'm not afraid to be told no. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to be wrong. But what I'm not going to do is just keep quiet and let anything happen to anybody. And I'm also always going to stand up and step for myself. So I want people to know that about me and understand that it's okay for you to be unapologetically you. It's okay for you to practice humility. It's okay for you to make a mistake. It's okay for you to take a chance even to make a mistake, but just do the right thing. And, like, I tell my oldest daughter all the time, like, if I were to just call my daughter on speakerphone and say, remain what? She would say excellent. If I was to text her like no matter what, always remain, she would text me back excellent. That's been like our theme forever. And I want that to kind of be like the model for everybody. Like you remain excellent at all times and you always continue to thrive, to do better and be great. And the only reason why I know to remain excellent is because the bottom of Deonte's statue in big bold letters, it says remain excellent. Like, and I had a meeting today with Debbie Thompson. Matter of fact, she told me to tell you how.
Oh, let's shout out to Deb.
Yeah, and she part of the council now. So I'm talking to her and she was like, Deonte, always got to take the high road. I don't see you going south because you pride yourself in integrity and just based off the interaction I have with you. I know that. But she was like, you always have to take the high road, even when the arrows come, even when it hurts. Like, you just keep doing the right thing. And when she said that, it just reminded me of me telling my daughter. So I know from me saying that and for me doing the things that I'm doing, somebody to kind of like bring that back to my attention today, to never hear me say that is remain excellent. I'm gonna last in Erie for the rest of my life and for years to go on. My family's name is going to be good. All the other families in Erie, for people who are willing to do the work to thrive, will all be good. We're Erie, the city of Erie, PA, when I die, will be a family-based city to where families are working together and they're thriving together to make the city of Erie better and make life better for their family.
Amen, brother. Appreciate that, man. I love it. Thank you for that wonderful response. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's all that I got, my man.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate you. I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate you coming on the show. And then even like this journey, man, it's very interesting. I've learned more. I ain't gonna say more. I've learned a lot about people in the last 2 weeks. Like, so I made the announcement on 18. I actually first time I ever made the announcement. I was at the Union breakfast. Everybody's introducing themselves, and I'm like, oh, I'm such and such, and I'm running for this. And I'm like, well, should I? Like, you might as well go ahead. So I'm like, I'm Deonte Cooley running for city council, and it was like, nah, I said it.
Yeah, it came out.
Like, time to get the petition signed and all that. So I get the petition. I'm like, now I gotta announce it. And then when I announce it, you go to all of these spaces, you see all the same faces of people, and then it's like, so then you know people are checking up on you. Oh yeah, Deonte, I've heard so many good things about you. You just met me last week.
Yeah.
Things like you've been asking questions, and then my LinkedIn now is going crazy.
Yeah,
like, I'm getting notifications. I might have to pay for the premium one. So you can see.
I can know premium
choice. See who's looking at me.
Yeah.
My Facebook numbers and stuff is going up too. But then even also it's some adversity that I've been dealing with because they say like people take shots at you when they want to test your character to see if you really are who you say that you are.
No doubt.
So within the last 2 weeks, man, it's been a crazy roller coaster. It's been a lot of events, and I'm eating a lot of food too, man. Like, I'm hungry all the time doing all this talking and introducing myself. But this is one I'm gonna ask you a question as far as like for me on this run, excuse me. But like, so what I'm learning is people like have an elevator speech. You know what I mean? Everybody said, you want to get your elevator speech together. So I know I have my 3 areas that I can speak to. But what I don't want it to turn into is it's me sound like I'm saying the same thing every single time, at every single event, where it's just like, oh, Deonte, why are you running? And I'm like, okay, well, my fellow Americans. And I hit you with the speech, and let's say you follow me and you hear me every time, where it's like, all right, now watch, he's going to end it with, and I love the world and everything in it. Like, do you think that I should have the same elevator speech, or should I be like kind of like, because I'm authentic and I'm genuine about the reason why I'm running. People ask me a question, I can kind of always answer it the same, but it's more speaking to their question. But I've heard people like they the same thing. But then I've heard people like, man, Perry Wood, that dude's a beast, with his speech, and it's not the same speech. And like, you keep changing it, but it's great. So do you think I should have like an elevator speech, or should I continue to just speak from the heart?
I'm not a guy about, when it comes to things that I'm passionate about and I'm speaking my truth, I'm not really concerned about the formalities.
Okay.
I'm concerned about my genuineness, my passion. And I don't need to force that. That's just natural.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
When I tell my story and I go in front of people, I do my trainings or I do I have a similar story, but it's the passion in which I talk about it. It's where it takes me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I might be physically there, but mentally I'm in the passion.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm swimming in it. I'm swimming in it. And so it doesn't, sometimes I black out and I don't even remember what the hell I said.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying? Like it literally something else takes over. So I would say, knowing you, being you, just swim in your passion, man. Like, just allow that to be your thing. The formality of it will be the message, right? Like, the message is going to remain the same.
Okay.
You're going to know, you're going to be able to verbalize what you want to do. You don't have to have my fellow Americans.
Right.
We are gathered here today.
Right.
Like we don't need, like, and I feel like we're in that age right now. We don't need that. I mean, we don't want to do that. And that goes back to our conversation, I think, about meeting people where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see that. They want to see that passion.
Right.
They want to see that genuineness. You know. So for me, I've always lived in that, and not and yes, there's a time for formalities and there's a time for that. But when you're doing what you're doing and in the spaces that we're in, swim in that passion, bro. Okay. I think you're doing everything that you need to do, man. And it's being seen, it's being shown, and continue to be that genuine. Your genuine self, your authentic self, and that's gonna get you to wherever you need to get to.
That's the struggle right now. Like I'm like, I just want to be myself. Man.
Yeah.
I want to be myself. I'm like, you get a little bit here and then it's like, yo, that's not me.
Yeah,
that's not me. I just want to be myself. And then for people who know me, I don't want people to be like, he would have never said nothing like that. Where's the teleprompter?
Yeah.
Him, dude, or I've seen him speak and I've heard him. So that was something. Again, like I told people, I don't consider myself a politician, but I can't say that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's official.
Yeah,
I am a politician, or at least I'm fighting for a political seat.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm fighting for a political seat. So I know there are going to be times where I'm going to say things that aren't quote unquote politically correct, but I just want people to know that I'm just being me. I'm not going to say anything that's going to offend anybody, or I'm not going to say anything that's going to get people up in arms. But I just want to be myself, and I want to be supportive for who I am. And for the people who are supporting me when I'm being myself and I'm being a little bit too much of myself, I need those people to be like, yo, you can't be doing that. I would much rather people tell me, yo, chill on that, as opposed to people telling me that's not you.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And you had mentioned that earlier too, about people holding you accountable too. You know what I mean? So if we tend, we're not perfect people.
Right.
You know, we're not perfect by any means. You know, our humanity is our humanity.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, that's just what it is. Human error is human error.
Right.
You know, and so I agree with you. I want to be around people who accept my authentic self, and will make sure that they let me know, like, yo, you're not being you.
Right.
You know, you're not being the genuine self.
Right.
You know, or if you're, you want people, you want that. I have no problems with constructive criticisms.
Okay.
I don't. You know, and when I'm practicing my motivational speaking and I'm all doing that, I'll look at videos. I'll even ask for feedback. You know, and I've been doing this for quite some time, but I have a lot to learn.
Right.
I am in no way, shape, or form the guru of everything in mental health and wellness and inclusivity.
Okay.
You know, but I know that I'm good as hell at what I do.
There we go. Right.
I'm good as hell at what I do, and my goal is to get better.
Right.
So, no, take that with you, man. You're gonna get better. It's gonna come together. You're gonna form yourself. That's at least my feedback. If you're asking, yes, sir.
And I'm gonna continue these interviews going. Like I said, I got a bunch of people coming up, but my next guest is Daria. So I get to get Daria to come over here, and I'm gonna ask her some questions as far as like why she's running for mayor, and there's just some different things as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll have Daria here on Monday. She's coming later at 7:30. I've reached out. When I tell you, I'm gonna tell you the list when I get off, because like my guest list is very diverse. And then I just seen there was a lady. Her name is Tina Hyota. She's running as a Republican. She said, "I would love to come on your show, and why I, as a Republican, is running for city council." So we're gonna get some Republicans on here too, man. We gotta be able to talk to all the people and get the perspectives, man. I'm a registered Democrat, but at the end of the day, we all have to live here: red, blue, green party, Republican, independent.
Sure.
So I think it's important for all of us to have a say, so as long as we can have a productive conversation, and it's nothing offensive. When I had a conversation with Tina, we talked on the phone one night for like an hour. I met her at a city council meeting, and she seems to be a very nice lady. So I'm definitely gonna reach out to her and see if I can get her on the show. And that would be it. I think that'll be a great one. They have Republican and Democrat having a conversation about running for pretty much the same seat.
Most definitely.
But yeah, outside of that, man, I appreciate your time. We're going for an hour and 20 minutes. We're gonna stop it there. I appreciate everybody for the views, the likes, the shares. Listen, man, the hardest thing about being a politician is fundraising. I don't know how to ask for money, but I got the ActBlue, I got the Venmo. We about to have some events popping off here shortly. I got to turn my petitions in by the 11th. We have enough, so we will officially be on the ballot. And then we're going to look about hosting some events for voter registration, walk to vote, meeting candidates and stuff like that. So please stay tuned. I'll continue to watch, like, subscribe, share it to the channel. Kids told me I got to say that. And then also make sure that if you're not doing so, follow my candidacy page. Deonte, friends of Deonte for Erie. So thank you everybody for your time, participation. We're gonna be coming back. Now it's more people asking to come on the show, so we're gonna turn this into a great thing. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.